Well, Republicans are laser focused on inflation ahead of the midterms, talking about it every chance they get. Democrats, not so much. A new study shows Republican lawmakers using the word inflation 6 times more often than Democrats since the start of the year. Karl Rove is a former White House Deputy Chief of Staff to President George W. Bush, a Fox News contributor. This doesn't work, Karl. It doesn't work to ignore something and never talk about it, especially when you can't hide inflation from people. When they go to the grocery store and the gas station every day, they feel it every single day.
Oh, absolutely. And boy, do they feel it. Let's take a look at some of the inflation numbers. Groceries up 9.9% year over year. Gas up 18%. Shelter, rent, for example, 5%. Eating out, 7%. Milk, 13%. Meat, 14%. These are the kind of things that people are paying at the pump, at the store, and in their lives every single day. And as a result, it's going to dominate the fall campaign unless and until it starts to go away. And it ain't going away.
Well, here in the state of New York, 26% of voters say the economy is their top concern. Public safety trumps it at 32%. I was just telling Dana, we're going to have surprises in this midterm that nobody sees coming. And you could see some shockers in a place like New York where people looked around and said, this ain't working out the way we expected it to go.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And the numbers nationwide for inflation are even worse. Let's have a mini board. We're going to start doing the mini board here. Think about this. 36% approve of the president's handling of the economy. 59% don't approve. And the number on inflation, that's lots of polls ask the question of, do you approve of the president on the economy? A couple have asked about inflation. Those numbers are in the 20. If he's at 36 on the overall economy, he tends to be in the low 30s or the high 20s on the issue of inflation. 22% think the country is going in the right direction. 71% think it's off on the wrong track. Those are terrible numbers, and they're being driven largely by the inflation. They're also being driven by immigration. They're also being driven by crime. But the number one issue remains the economy. It generally is the number one issue. It remains the number one issue in this election. And what that whole economic issue is mostly made up of are people's concerns about what they're paying at the grocery store and at the pump.
Karl, you mentioned immigration, and I have to bring up the Democratic candidate. Well, I don't know if he's candidate yet, but Texas's Beto O'Rourke. He has taken 3 different positions on Title 42. This is the immigration policy that is on the chopping block right now. Here's his latest position. Watch here.
I think it's time to end Title 42.
Okay.
I don't think we should have ever implemented it. It's a very cynical reading of U.S. law that, again, has done nothing to improve public health or safety.
Now, previously he said he was against it, then he was for it, but he has flip-flopped more than John Kerry.
Yeah, look, Robert Francis O'Rourke is having this problem on a lot of things. Because, like, for example, he in his earlier incarnation, he said he would tear down the border wall. Now he's not so certain that he would tear down the border wall. He was opposed to Title 42. Now he says we shouldn't get rid of it unless we've got a replacement. I mean, this guy is going to be flip-flopping left and right. Maybe he's trying to outdo John Kerry. If so, he's succeeding quite well early in the campaign, in my opinion.
Well, the soundbite we just played was from this past Sunday. You go 5 days prior, call 4-3. 5 days, Karl. It does not make sense to end this until there's a real plan and the capacity in place to handle those and address those that come over. That's a pretty fast one.
Yeah, if you don't like his opinion, wait a couple of weeks and he'll change his mind on it. I mean, look, this is going to be an interesting race to watch because unlike his Senate campaign where he could say things like, I'm in favor of abolishing private insurance because I'm for Medicare for all, and nobody said anything about it, every one of these things is going to be responded to by Governor Abbott's campaign. And as a result, Texans are going to see him for what he is, which is, sort of vacuous, in my opinion, and not capable of having a firm opinion and explaining it.
Karl, can you help me understand something? Why would the White House, knowing what they're dealing with in terms of their poll numbers and the fact that all these Democrats are now pulling away, including Gary Peters from Michigan, the senator who's saying, oh, guys, we can't do this. Why would they float this? Wait and go through all the political pain just to basically leave Title 42 in place and get none of the political benefit for having made a good policy decision?
Well, I think they're between a rock and a hard place on this one because they do, the left of the Democratic Party wants open borders, and they see Title 42 policy as being a major deterrent. on the other hand, if you remove it, what we're effectively saying to people is that if you are not in the United States and you want to claim asylum, you can now get here and you can claim asylum and you can remain, because we've removed one of the last obstacles to being able to rapidly remove you out of the country, namely the threat of a Title 42 eviction. So, they want to placate the left, but on the other hand, they don't want to have the scene that we're about ready to have, which is large numbers of people. Think about it. I mean, we're talking millions of people are crossing the border. We have had last month, I think it was the record number of apprehensions at the border. And for every one we apprehend, there are people who are getting across whom we don't apprehend. So, they're in a tough place. If you want to stop the scenes that we saw over the last year at the border, because they know what kind of an impact that's going to have on public opinion by the fall election, then you have to have a policy like Title 42 in place to give you a tool to remove people who would otherwise make it a claim for asylum and be here.
All right. Well, we'll see what they end up doing. It seems obvious
Carl.
to me. But, Karl, thank you so much.